Hey everybody, got another video here for you. So, it took a while, but they're all done. All 18 pickups have the JST connectors all hooked up to them, and they're ready to go in the guitar. So the next step would be coming up here and looking at the guitar. Slap a couple pickups in it and put the bridge on and put some strings on and check the electronics. I've started testing the electronics. I've got the P90s in there at the moment, and just got it hooked up to the little baby amp. And let's see, hot wire on the bridge for this P90, bad connection, had to fix that. And I was thinking that the AB both switches, when you put a single coil in, you'd have to put it up in the A position. But it turns out that the way an AB both switch behaves, if you got a single coil, it's just here. And it doesn't really matter what the splits are connected to, if anything at all, because the other end of the splits aren't connected to anything. So basically with the AB both switch and a single coil, all three positions work. So yeah, it has no effect whatsoever. No matter what you do, the single coil is always hooked up to the circuit. So single coil is hooked up and splits are not connected to anything. Single coil is hooked up and splits are connected to the hot wire of the single coil. Single coil is hooked up and splits are connected to the ground wire of the single coil. But you see, the other end of the splits on the wiring harness aren't connected to anything back here at the pickup end. So it doesn't matter. So yeah, everything is working, even the piezo. Yeah, here, let me make some noise for you. Turn on the amp and the screwdriver. And let's see, piezo on. It's not very loud. I should put it on the bigger amp. Hold on. Well, I was going to hook up the big amp. In fact, I did, but right now I'm running on the power inverter, and I got a lot of line noise. So, and I'm kind of feeling lazy because I don't really feel like going out and gassing up the generator and firing it up and switching the shop over to the generator. It's raining outside right now. And also, I've got an isolation transformer on the way, which should be here in a day or two, and that'll isolate the amp from basically the power cord that drives the amp and the pedal chain and all of that. That's all on one big giant extension cord. And then I just plug that into the ISO transformer. Then I plug the ISO transformer into either the power inverter or the generator, or basically the power line for the shop, which is driven off of either the power inverter or the generator. And that'll take care of all the noise problems that I'm getting here from the power source, from not clean power. So yeah, until, I mean, I can turn this thing on, but, well, here, I'll show you. Okay, that buzz you hear, that's just the amp at 5, nothing plugged in. And then but you can still hear hum. Now watch. I just turn the piezo on and everything goes away, but I've still got piezos. So yeah, piezo circuit works. That's on the blast mode. That turns it off and the hum comes back. A little bit of hum. That there is with the volume control, so Interesting, right in the hum comes back when the volume's up part way. But it goes away when it's all the way up and when it's all the way down. Have to check into that. Anyway, yeah, so there's the piezo, and then that's the bridge, and the neck, and the volumes. And can't check AB both. Like I said, it does the same thing no matter which way you put it. See, bridge on. Yeah, so bridge goes no matter what. The single coils go no matter what, so that's weird. Might be a ground issue. Yeah, I can check into that. But yeah, so basically it all seems to be working. I'll have to go through and looks like I need to check to make sure I've got everything grounded, even though I still hear hum there, and I'm grabbing the cable now. So yeah, I'll be able to tell a lot better once I get that ISO transformer in here and can get off this soupy power that I'm using. But yeah, I'll go through and I'll check, make sure all the pickups are all wired and working correctly, and that everything's here, and get some strings on it. I'll need strings in order to check the phase, and I still got to put some coil splits in order to check and make sure where the split's working, but I really kind of need strings for that too, so that'll keep me busy for a little while, just running through the pickups and making sure the basic non-split stuff works. So back to it. So in 4 years of building guitars now, I might have actually come across something there I could use a template. And I was thinking that a template for making these might be useful. You could use it as an edge routing template in order to cut these out to the precise size. You could use it as a drilling template to get these holes. You could use it as a marking template to get these lines for routing out. And you could use it as a drilling template to drill these holes, and since you were using the same drilling template for both of these, you wouldn't have to do what I'm doing now, which is drilling out all the mounting holes on these things, like about, I don't know, 1 or 1.5 mil larger diameter, and then so far 2 of them have still needed a little file to fit here at the neck, because the neck's a tighter fit. And yeah, I wasn't as precise at the neck as far as like getting everything perfect. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, experimental hand done stuff versus mass production CNC. But yeah, could actually be useful to have a template for doing this kind of thing. But you know, you can also do it by hand. Just take your time, be careful, and get correct results. When it came to actually wiring up these pickups, I did use a template of sorts. Let me show you. So this is my quote-unquote template for wiring these guys up, and it's all to scale, and the base plate goes right there, and it tells you like how long the whole connector's supposed to be, where you would cut off the wire coming from the pickup, how far to strip back all the wires coming from the pickup, how far, where you want to cut off all these leads coming from the JST connector, and how far back you need to strip the JST connector. That's this part, this green up here. So yeah, the green stuff, where's the end here? There's the end of the JST. So all these green lines, that's all cutting and stripping the JST connector to the proper length. And then all these red lines here are for cutting the pickup wire and stripping all those guys to length. And then when you're done, hopefully the plug ends up like 85 millimeters from the hole or something like that. So yeah, so I did use a sort of a template in order to do the wiring part. And it also marks out where the actual splices occur and stuff. And that was about the best way in order to get all these leads approximately the same length, so that everything would reach the connector on the guitar and you wouldn't have excessive wiring hanging out. So, slowly but surely, I'm systematically testing everything. And then I was just doing the filtertrons, and I've been turning the amp up to 3 in order to test all the pickups to make sure they work. And I just noticed that these things seemed a little on the loud side compared to the other ones, and I was thinking about how I could measure the actual output. Like, you know, set the amp the same, put in each and every pickup, strum the strings or tap it or something, and then use a decibel meter on the amp kind of a thing would be one possibility. Or maybe reading the output from the pickup, which I suppose, let's see, that would be voltage. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. It might be current, but I'm pretty sure it's voltage. And yeah, so, and that way you could really tell what's hot and what's not, and do it empirically instead of just, you know, by what you hear and not being able to put any hard numbers to it. So yeah, but I want to be real thorough about it, and then I want to run everything through the spectrum analyzer and make sure and get the spectrum analyzer so it's all working and everything, and I can get good output from it and have something worth sharing and worth your time watching. So I'm trying to be very thorough about all this. I'm about to test this guy here now. I figured I'd film one sequence, or this is, I don't know, I'm checking at the moment I'm checking all the single coils to make sure they all work. One of the P90s, I believe it was the Bridge P90 that I first started with way back, wasn't working, but so far everything else has been working. So you take your pickup and you get your JST connector and you figure out what direction's what, and you plug it in, and there we go, a little click, and then you turn up the amp and you give it a tap, and yeah, that's pretty loud compared to the other ones. Not super loud, but it's definitely louder. And that's another pickup done. Okay, I just tried the first set of humbuckers, and all the humbucker part of the wiring circuits are working. And I can even tell the difference between between inners and outers on using the AB switches. So that apparently is working as well on the AB switches. I can't tell phase. So that'll have to wait for strings. But yeah, and this pair of humbuckers, they're all working correctly. I'll go through and check. I got quads, invaders, and high outputs, and I'll check all those to make sure those are working. But now I know that basically all of this is working, so that's very cool, and it's just a matter of making sure that the individual pickups that I've assembled for it are all working. And then the very last thing is EMGs and testing the power circuit, and I'll put a battery in and stuff like that. Going back to what I was saying earlier about testing output on all these pickups, output levels aren't that important. You know, you can take a pickup that's not real hot and put it here, and plug it into an amp and crank the shit out of the amp, and it's going to sound great. And you take the world's hottest pickup, whatever that would be, you can put it in here and put it in the same amp and crank it up, and you don't have to crank it up as much because it's the world's hottest pickup, and it's going to sound, like whatever that pickup sounds like. And yeah, so in the end, it's kind of like the sustain thing. where it's like, everybody seems to be obsessive compulsive about sustain. And if you go and you look at recorded music, there aren't that many guitar notes in recorded music that sustain all that long, really. Well, not without, like doing something like the B.B. King something, or something to put energy back into the string, as Paul Reed Smith would say. But yeah, so and sustain, all sustain is you build a guitar out of materials that aren't going to nerf your vibrations, and that's all sustain is. So yeah, nice stiff stuff. But in the same token that people obsess about sustain when you don't really need it 99% of the time, they also obsess about high output pickups when all you really need to do is get a better amp. So now that I've got a better amp in the shop, I'm starting to realize that I was falling into the standard mental line of thought trap of, high output pickups. I don't need to worry about that. There's, if you want your stuff to be louder, go like this to your volume. And if you don't have more headroom, then get a better amp. You should be selecting pickups because you like the voicing. Like Seymour Duncan has a bridge demo thing that they did that includes the Nazgul. And if you go and you listen to, starting at time index 14 and 10 seconds, because I play the thing here all the time at the shop, you'll hear the isolated guitar for like 8 of their metal pickups at the bridge. And it's a really cool jam they play on it, but you can actually hear the different voicings of all 8 of them, and you can pick and choose what appeals to you and what doesn't, because they all have very no two are the same. So yeah, and they're very subtle differences. We're talking you're tweaking one band or another on the EQ by like 3 dB for this pickup versus that one. This one's got 3 dB more at the 5 kilohertz range. This one's got 5 dB less in the 500s hertz range and stuff like this. So there's subtle differences, but they are there. And that's how I discovered that I really want to get a set of Nazguls, or a Nazgul, and then I believe it's the Sentinel is their matching neck pickup. But yeah, so the overall point is, you don't really need a lot of sustain, but that's not the real point. The real point is, it's not about the output, it's about the voicing. It's about the response curve on the spectrum analyzer. It's not about how many Henrys and how much high resistance with the resistances of the pickup. You should shop at pickups based on their tone response curve, on their voicing, on how they sound, not how powerful they are or how loud they are with your amp that you can't turn up anymore. I've been there a lot, so I can sympathize. But yeah, really, it's much better to get a big amp and then get a pickup that's got the voicing you want, and then you're in heaven guitar-wise. Okay, I just tested the EMGs, and both of the power circuits for the neck and the bridge for EMGs and other active pickups are working. And this EMG is working, the bridge one, but the neck is not working. There's probably an open somewhere here in this wiring harness, so I'll have to check that out. And other than that, I think, let me see, yeah, that's everything. And then the next thing is to put the bridge together and put strings on it, and then I can test I can double check the AB switches to make sure they're working, but I'm confident they're working. And the last thing I can check is the phase over here, which is the only one left really to test. So, and I gotta put a battery in the EQ, but I'm pretty sure it works. So, last car to pass. Here I go. Yeah, they're all working except for this one. I think it was this particular wire on the connector that was not working for some reason. But the pickup itself is working. So, that's cool. All I gotta do is solder up another one. And then that'll be all of the pickups and all the electronics on the guitar working. And then it's time for some strings. And that's it. That's the last of them. Got the new connector on. It's hooked up and plugged in, and it works. So, yeah, that's the last of the electronics for the guitar. And I'll probably be ending the episode here. And I'll start stringing it up in the next one. See you all then. Okay, I think that's going to do it for this video. So, until the next one, everybody, have a good one.